Sound check, 1, 2.
This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
We get it, that's the past, but we need to focus more on having fun and being goofy, being ourselves.
217 Recovery Podcast. It is the 2nd of May, 2020. My name's Corey Winfield, and you're probably listening to this probably early Sunday morning or just Sunday or maybe Sunday afternoon, but I appreciate you listening. This podcast, this is something I started over a year ago, and it keeps me sober, and I like it. Hopefully you do too. It's a podcast about my recovery, my journey in recovery, things I've learned in recovery, things that have worked for me. I'm not a doctor or therapist, anything like that. I'm a recovery coach and a recovery ambassador. Did some trainings for suicide prevention. So yeah, I've done a few things. Hit about 15 different treatment centers along the way. Learned a lot. So if you can take something from this, that's great. Maybe a loved one can take something from this. Maybe you can take something to share with a loved one. And they'll be like, oh yeah, I do that too. Well, there's hope for you. There really is. And I have to tell you, coming up on a year and a half, next month we'll have a year and a half. And it's just been amazing. It's really, really great. I've talked about the last few episodes about how God has just been great to me, and the things that I'm asking for, God's been rewarding me with. And it's not the way that I want to get there or how I even imagined it could ever be to get there, but it's happening. And I just want to share hope and inspiration with people that are still in active addiction or maybe in early recovery, or maybe you're in long-term recovery. Maybe you got 20 years on you, but you still need to go back and visit to just kind of remind yourself, hey, I'm one drink away. I'm one use away. So that's what I'm here for. Appreciate you listening. Of course, you can get us on all the platforms, iHeartRadio. If that's not working for you, if you don't like it, then got Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast. You name it, we're pretty much out there. I want to talk about a few things today. Emotions. I want to talk about hindsight and how I got help. Many times in my road to recovery, but I want to bring up something though that happened yesterday, and it was very, how can I say it hit home. I knew the person not well, but I was at work and I got a message, and it was like, "Hey, did you hear this?" And an ex-girlfriend of mine, her niece had died. And I don't know the cause. I hadn't seen any reports or anything like that but I know she had battled addiction and was, I thought, maybe doing better. She was posting pictures, online, and her name was Brittany. And a beautiful young girl. She's like 20. I don't think she was 30, but she was, mid, late 20s, and she had some rough times in her life, and I really thought she was kind of pulling out. I thought she was on the other side maybe, and fortunately that wasn't the case. And, my prayers and thoughts go out to the Jewel family and everybody who knows Brittany, and it was just sad. It's sad to lose another person to addiction, and everybody knows somebody that suffers from addiction. I don't know if it's drugs. I don't know if it's sex, if it's gambling, but there's an addiction. Eating, sleeping. Well, I was going to say farting, but probably not farting. I'm just saying, like, somebody. Every single person in America knows somebody that has an addiction to something. Hunting, my little brother. But it's how you judge those other ones, and these ones are so much worse, and it's because we believe what's on the TV. But as well as I do, just because you're addicted to something that's horrible doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You don't know the story behind how they got there, and did they make a few bad decisions along the way? Absolutely. We all make bad decisions. We're not perfect. It's just slippery slope for some things, and whether you hurt your arm on the job or, whatever, it starts off with pills, and then you realize, well, this works better than pills, or they cut you off the pills, and you're like, well, I got to get something. And, you know, when you're stuck in that moment going through those situations, you're not thinking in your right mind. And I don't judge people based on that either. I did some stupid things to buy alcohol. I remember one time I was coming back from, I don't even know if we were broke up or what, but it seems like I wanted to go seclude myself in a hotel room and drink the whole weekend. And I can't even remember the logic behind this or what made me think this would be a good idea. I drove to Benton Harbor from Grand Rapids, and I stayed in the crappiest motel, whatever you want to call it, off of I-94, and I remember there being roaches in there. It was gross. And I somehow was like, yeah, I'm cool with that. You know, I'll just drink in here, and it was horrible. But after a few days, I ran out of money, like normal. And I remember leaving the hotel with not sure what I was going to do. I didn't have much gas. And I didn't want to ask anybody for help. I didn't want to bring my family into it again, even though my mom at this time, which I didn't realize till later, was really out looking for me and looked at every hotel but the one I was at. Because I had turned my phone, I turned everything, I went silent. And I remember leaving the hotel, like, I don't have much money, and got in the car, and I started to drive, and I didn't know where to, but I ended up in South Haven, and I was at the Meijer in the parking lot, just sitting there, and I started shaking, because I was going through withdrawals. And I remember I had like cases of pop in the trunk, and it was pouring down rain, and I was parked pretty far away, but I got out and I took the two, I think there were 12 packs. I took them in, and I didn't even have time to like empty them out, because I've done that before where I've actually used a bridge card to buy pop, empty them out, and then just take them back for the returns. And sometimes I would wait an hour. Sometimes I would just take the returns to a different store from that I just bought them from, just to get liquor, just so I would stop shaking. Not because it was fun, not because it was a great time, to stop the shaking. And so here I am at Meijer. I got 24 cans of pop. I just throw them in the machine full. That's when I realized you could do that. And I had just enough for, I think, maybe 2 tall boys or something. And in my drinking career at that point, those weren't going to do anything for me. You know, I was hoping they would stop the shaking at least. And they might have done that. I'm not sure. But I ended up, drinking those and just sitting there and trying to get the shakes to stop. And then finally, I think I took a nap, and I ended up back at the hotel in Benton Harbor that night. And that's where my girlfriend at that time, we were probably broken up at that point, I think. But she was just like, tell me where you're at. We need to come get you, and everything's going to be fine, and this and that. And she talked me into it. She talked me into telling her where I was at. And then my mother came and got me, and it was very embarrassing. My car I had to leave it there, obviously. And it was very just give up. Like, I had thought that was it. Like, that had to be it. That had to be the last time. And, it wasn't. But I remember that so clearly that just, like, just make it stop. I want to stop this. But what made me think it was a good idea to use that time, I don't know, to get a hotel room, waste all your money and drink, I don't know. I don't remember. And that's the scary thing about addiction, is we will talk ourselves into some really stupid stuff. Brittany could have been fine for a while, and just it takes that one time, with the drugs that these people are buying. If you're an opiate guy or woman and you're looking for the opiates, you're looking for heroin, and a lot of times, and if you go to a rehab, they'll tell you When you go check in, they give you a urine analysis and they pee test, whatever. And you'll tell them your drug of choice is heroin, and they'll be like, well, there's no heroin in your system. What? No, she got a bunch of fentanyl. They're like, what? And you don't know what you're really buying. And the people that are selling it, man, they want it to be the best, but they're not chemists, They're not. And the fact that you're putting your life in their hands is just very scary. And they call it chasing the dragon, is very dangerous. And if you need help, one more time, it could be it. And like I said, prayers and thoughts go out to, Brittany's family. And it's heartbreaking. It really is. She was a beautiful young woman, and I think she had a lot of potential, and she's going to be greatly missed by a lot of people. And I just, I was telling Dax, I didn't tell her, I just sent her a text message, and I told her that hopefully this will wake some people up, in that area. Southwest Michigan is pretty small. And I don't know. I wish there was a magic wand that I could wave, but it starts with getting help, and it starts with accepting it. And it starts with, people not judging them for trying to get help. And that's why I started off by saying these addictions are just how we judge them so different. She wasn't a dirty person. She wasn't a bad person. The person that's addicted to cupcakes or whatever, could be a horrible human being, but we're going to judge them different. Oh, well, he's just cupcakes. Well, those cupcakes cause diabetes, and then he's going to be a problem, or she's going to be a problem, and it's going to be, okay, now they're on Medicaid. Okay, now they're costing the state just as much money, if not more, than if somebody goes to get help for addiction of, heroin or meth or alcohol, whatever it is. But we treat those people differently. We go ahead and we give them insulin. Here you go. Here you go. Yeah, here you go. Well, it should be the same for all addiction, in my opinion. And I'm not knocking anybody who has diabetes or saying that they shouldn't be getting it. Absolutely they should. But I'm just saying, not all diabetes is brought on by bad health choices or poor diet. I'm just saying that some of the choices that we make in life are bad. We know that all too well. We don't like to acknowledge it, but we can. If we want to get deep and get honest with ourselves, we've done a lot of dumb shit. But it doesn't mean we're bad people. And there's a lot of great people out there that just haven't even tapped into their potential or their talents that they're going to offer this world or bring to this world, the good. They haven't, but they're out there. It could be you. It could be the person sitting next to you. It could be the person eavesdropping from the other room as you listen to this awesome podcast, 217 Recovery Podcast. That's a shameless plug during the show, I know. But I don't want to see people just keep giving up and, just one more time is going to be enough. Isn't one more time enough already? If you're at the point like I was when I was in that car, wondering what I was going to do to stop the shakes, and then I had to take those bottles back in, those are moments that I'll never forget. And those are feelings that I'll never lose them. I'll never lose the way I felt in that car. Or when I had to, get my mom on the line and have her drive at 2 a.m, to come pick me up. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget the way that I felt. And a lot of people, use AA meetings, stuff like that to rework the steps and to bring up those old feelings. But it's not that I don't like to bring them up. It's nice to be reminded of them from time to time. It's very humbling. As much as I'm like, hey, I started the show, I'm like, a year and a half next month. Yeah. If I can make it there, if I can make it to you through this month and, half of next month, I will be there, and that'll be great. That'll be wonderful. But I'm just one drink away. I'm one mistake away, Not even a mistake, just bad decision from going right back down. And for me, I was at a meeting yesterday on Zoom, What's up, New Zealand? I was in the New